The stars looked different from this part of space. Captain John Miller stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel, Horizon, his eyes fixed on the massive alien ship that approached them. The year was 2157, and humanity was about to change forever. "They're hailing us, Captain," said Lisa Reeves, the communications officer. Her voice trembled slightly. Miller straightened his uniform. "Put them through." The screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Gold markings covered its face, and its mouth stretched into what might have been a smile. "Greetings, Earth vessel. I am High Commander Vexus of the Xeraxian Empire," the alien said in perfect English. "We have been watching your planet for some time." Miller nodded respectfully. "On behalf of Earth, we welcome peaceful contact." Behind Vexus, other Xeraxians moved around their command center. One of them whispered something, and several laughed. Miller pretended not to notice. "Your species has just begun to crawl from its cradle," Vexus said. "We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years, but we are willing to guide you." The meeting that followed took place on the Xeraxian ship. Miller and his team of 5 diplomats sat at a table that was too high for them, in chairs that didn't fit human bodies. This was no accident, Miller realized. The Xeraxians showed them maps of their empire, hundreds of star systems, thousands of planets. Earth was just a tiny dot on the edge of their territory. "Your world has some interesting resources," said Sub-Commander Krell, pointing to data about Earth. "Your people could serve the Empire well." "We're interested in trade and friendship," Miller replied carefully. "Not service." Vexus made a sound like bells tinkling, their version of laughter. "Of course, Captain. All species begin as friends of the Empire." After the formal talks, Miller and his science officer, Steve Bishop, were given a tour. The Xeraxian technology was amazing. Ships that could bend space, weapons that could destroy planets, medicine that could extend life for centuries. "This medical bay was designed for our youngest citizens," their guide explained, showing them a facility that outmatched Earth's best hospitals. "For species at your level of development, it must seem like magic." Bishop whispered to Miller, "They're showing off." "And enjoying it," Miller replied quietly. Later, in private quarters assigned to the humans, the team gathered. "They think we're jokes," said Diane Foster, the diplomatic expert. "Like children." Miller nodded. "They do. But they also want something from Earth, or they wouldn't bother with us at all." "So what do we do?" asked Bishop. "We smile. We nod. We accept their friendship. And we learn everything we can," Miller said, looking out the viewport at the stars. "Earth isn't ready for a fight with people like this. Not yet." The treaty they signed 3 days later gave humans access to certain Xeraxian technologies and trade routes. In return, Earth would allow Xeraxian observers at key locations. As Miller shook Vexus's hand, a human custom the alien found amusing, the High Commander leaned close. "You have heart for such a fragile species," Vexus said quietly. "I hope your people learn their proper place quickly. It will be less painful that way." Miller met his 4-eyed gaze steadily. "We're quick learners," he replied. The Horizon returned to Earth carrying news of humanity's first alien contact. The public celebrated, but in private meetings with world leaders, Miller shared his concerns. "They don't see us as equals," he told them. "And I don't think they ever will. Unless we give them reason to." 5 years had passed since first contact. Earth had built a small space station where humans and Xeraxians could meet and trade. Commander Susan Hayes walked through its halls, noticing how the aliens barely moved aside for her. She was Earth's top military officer assigned to alien relations, but the Xeraxians treated her like a servant. Today was the big galactic summit. Leaders from 12 alien worlds gathered to discuss trade and borders. Earth had finally been invited, but Susan felt it wasn't a good sign. "Commander Hayes, please wait here," a Xeraxian guard told her outside the main chamber. "Your seat will be ready soon." When they finally let her in, Susan saw her seat was actually a small bench in the corner. far from the main table. The message was clear. Earth didn't belong with the important species. High Commander Vexus stood at the center of the room. Friends, before we begin official business, let's enjoy some entertainment. The large screen showed images of Earth's military forces, ships, planes, and soldiers. The aliens laughed as Vexus compared them to Zeraxian technology. Their strongest warship, Vexus said, pointing to Earth's best aircraft carrier, couldn't even damage our smallest scout vessel. The room filled with more laughter. Susan clenched her fists but stayed silent. Then Vexus showed human biology. How slowly humans healed, how easily they tired, how quickly they age. Their bodies are almost comically fragile, he said. Most Zeraxian children are stronger than their strongest adults. A young Zeraxian cadet, barely a teenager in their years, stepped forward. High Commander, may I demonstrate? Vexus smiled his four-eyed smile. Commander Hayes, would you join us? Cadet Srix wishes to show a training exercise. Every part of Susan wanted to refuse, but she represented Earth. Slowly, she walked to the center of the room. This is a simple strength test, Vexus explained. Just hold this metal bar and prevent Cadet Srix from taking it. The bar was heavy but manageable. Susan gripped it firmly, ready for the young alien's attempt. What happened next was nothing like a fair test. The cadet barely seemed to try, yet the bar was torn from Susan's hand so quickly that her fingers burned from the friction. She nearly fell over. The room erupted in laughter again. Perhaps humans would be better suited for growing food or simple mining work, suggested another alien leader. They clearly aren't made for anything requiring strength or intelligence. Susan stood straight despite the burning embarrassment. Humans have other qualities, she said firmly. Yes, Vexus agreed with mock kindness. You're very good at entertaining us. More tests followed, each designed to make humans look weak. Susan was forced to run until she couldn't breathe, while Zeraxian cadets jogged effortlessly beside her. She failed memory tests against aliens with perfect recall. Her reaction time was measured and found wanting. All of it broadcast across the Empire. Later that night, in her private quarters, Susan washed blood from her hands. She had gripped the exercise bars so tightly that her palms had split open. A message came through on her secure line. It was from President Alan Clark himself. Commander, I saw the broadcast. This cannot stand. When you return to Earth next week, report directly to me. Say nothing to our Zeraxian friends about this message. Susan touched the screen. Yes, Mr. President. As she prepared for bed, she noticed a small device under her desk. A listening bug. The Zeraxians were spying on Earth's representatives. How many more were there? How deep had they already gone into Earth's governments? Laugh while you can, she whispered, crushing the bug under her boot. We're slower learners, but we do learn. President Alan Clark looked out at the 20 people gathered in the underground room. These were Earth's brightest minds, selected from every nation. None of them knew why they were here until today. Ladies and gentlemen, Clark began, what you're about to hear is classified at the highest level. Commander Hayes. Susan Hayes stepped forward, her face still showing anger from the humiliation she had suffered 3 weeks ago. The Zeraxians think we're weak, she said simply. They mock us openly and are preparing to take over Earth. We found spy devices in all our embassies. The room was silent. Then Dr. Kate Wilson raised her hand. She was young for a physicist, only 32, with short red hair and intense green eyes. So what's our plan? We can't fight them with our current technology. President Clark smiled. That's why you're all here. Welcome to Project Prometheus. The lights dimmed and images appeared on the wall. Zeraxian ships, weapons, and technology. For 5 years, we've been collecting everything we could on Zeraxian tech, explained Clark. Now we need you to understand it, improve it, and make it ours. Dr. Wilson was assigned to weapons research. The Zeraxians had given humans access to some basic technology as part of their friendship agreement, but kept the best secrets to themselves. Kate's job was to fill in the gaps. In another part of the facility, Lieutenant Paul Martinez trained a special team of soldiers. They studied videos of Zeraxian movement and fighting styles, looking for weaknesses. "They're stronger than us," Martinez told his team. "They're faster. They heal quicker. But they're also arrogant. That's their weakness." Months passed. Dr. Wilson worked 18-hour days, studying Zeraxian energy weapons. One night, exhausted, she accidentally connected a neural scanner to an alien power cell. The readings went crazy. "That's impossible," she whispered, checking the data again. She called in volunteers for testing. The results were always the same. Human brainwave patterns created strange reactions in certain Zeraxian materials. It was something the aliens had never discovered because they never thought to test their technology with human neural patterns. "It's like finding out we have a superpower they don't know about," Kate told President Clark during their monthly meeting. "Their weapons use exotic particles our scientists barely understand. But somehow, human neural energy can control these particles in ways the Zeraxians can't. Can we build weapons with this discovery?" Clark asked. Kate nodded. "Better. We can build shields they can't break and ships they can't track." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Martinez had discovered something equally important. The Zeraxians had 4 eyes that gave them amazing vision, but their hearing was poor compared to humans. His team developed fighting techniques that used sound as distraction and blind spots in Zeraxian vision. "They think fighting is about strength," Martinez explained during a demonstration. "We'll show them it's about smarts." 1 year into Project Prometheus, Earth had working prototypes of new ships and weapons. They were built in secret moon bases, away from Zeraxian observers. The Zeraxians still laughed about humans in their galactic broadcasts. They still treated Earth representatives like children. They had no idea what was happening. "How long until we're ready?" Hayes asked during a leadership meeting. "Another year, maybe 2, Dr. Wilson answered. "We need to be sure our systems work perfectly." President Clark nodded. "The Zeraxians have been laughing for thousands of years. They can laugh a little longer. When we strike back, they won't be laughing anymore." 3 years had passed since Project Prometheus began. On Mars, humans had built a small colony where 200 people lived and worked. It was mostly a mining operation, sending resources back to Earth. Captain William Gordon stood on the bridge of the Defiance, Earth's first true warship. It looked normal from the outside. The Zeraxians had approved its design as a transport vessel, but inside, it held Dr. Wilson's revolutionary technology. "Captain, we're picking up strange readings from Mars," said Officer Ryan Jones. Gordon checked the screen. 5 large Zeraxian ships were approaching the Mars colony. They weren't answering any calls. "Battle stations," Gordon ordered quietly. "But keep us hidden behind Phobos. Don't move until my command." On Mars, Colony Director Beth Adams received a message from the lead Zeraxian ship, Human Colony, said Sub-Commander Krell, the same officer who had met with Captain Miller years ago. "The High Council has determined that this planet has valuable resources that require proper management. Your presence is no longer required." "We have an agreement with your empire," Adams replied. "This colony is protected under." "Agreements change," interrupted Krell. "You have 1 hour to evacuate. After that, we will remove you." As soon as the communication ended, Adams sent an emergency signal to Earth. President Clark received it immediately and called an emergency meeting. "It's happening," he told his advisors. "The Zeraxians are making their move, just as we predicted." "The Defiance is in position," reported Commander Hayes, "and the Mars defense system is ready." Clark nodded. "Activate everything." It's time the Zeraxians learned who they're dealing with. Back on Mars, the hour was almost up. The colonists had gathered their most important possessions, expecting to be forced onto small escape ships. The Zeraxian vessels moved closer, weapons powering up. "Human Colony," Krell's voice came again. "Your time is up. Prepare to be His message cut off suddenly as the Mars defense system activated. Hidden satellites armed with Dr. Wilson's technology created an energy shield around the colony. The Zeraxian weapons fired, but their shots bounced off harmlessly. "What is this?" Krell demanded. "Your planet doesn't have this technology." From behind Phobos, the Defiance appeared. It was small compared to the Zeraxian ships, but it moved with incredible speed. "Zeraxian vessels," Captain Gordon broadcast. "This is Captain William Gordon of the Earth vessel Defiance. You are violating our territory. Leave immediately." Laughter came over the communication system. "One tiny ship. This is your defense," Krell mocked. "We will destroy you with minimal effort." The 5 Zeraxian ships turned their weapons toward the Defiance. They fired together, expecting to see the human ship explode into dust. Instead, the Defiance glowed with a blue shield similar to the one protecting the Mars colony. Then it fired back. Beams of golden energy shot from its sides, precisely hitting the weapon systems of 2 Zeraxian ships. "Target their engines, not their life support," Gordon ordered his weapons officer. "We want them alive to tell this story." Within 15 minutes, 4 of the 5 Zeraxian ships were disabled. The 5th, Krell's command vessel, tried to escape. "Should we pursue?" asked Officer Jones. Gordon shook his head. "Let him go. Let him tell the Empire what happened here." As Krell's ship limped away, Gordon sent a message to Earth. "First engagement complete. 4 enemy ships disabled. 0 casualties on our side. The Zeraxians know we can fight back now." In his palace on the Zeraxian homeworld, High Commander Vexus received Krell's report with shock and fury. "How?" he demanded. "How did these primitives defeat our ships?" "I don't know," Krell admitted fearfully. "They have technology they shouldn't have. Technology that might even be beyond ours." Vexus crushed the report in his hand. "Find out how they got it. Find out now." Admiral Nancy Rodriguez looked at the strange aliens sitting across from her. The Velbari were tall and thin with gray skin that seemed to shimmer. Like humans, they had been treated poorly by the Zeraxian Empire. "So you want to join our fight?" she asked. The Velbari leader, Trill, nodded. "For centuries, the Zeraxians have taken our resources and mocked our people. When we heard that humans had defeated their ships, we knew it was time to act." It had been 6 months since the battle at Mars. The Zeraxians had launched a major attack against Earth, expecting to crush the humans quickly. Instead, their fleet faced a network of orbital defense platforms based on Dr. Wilson's technology. 15 Zeraxian ships had been disabled or destroyed, and Earth remained free. "We welcome your help," Rodriguez said, "but you should know that joining us means the Empire will see you as enemies." "They already see us as slaves," Trill replied. "We prefer to die as free beings." Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered or pushed aside by the Zeraxians watched Earth's resistance with hope. Some sent messages offering help. Others shared secret information about Zeraxian bases and supply routes. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Martinez and his special forces were deep inside Zeraxian territory. Their ship looked like a standard merchant vessel, but carried 20 of Earth's best soldiers. "Target in sight," whispered Sergeant Laura Phillips. Through her scope, she could see a massive Zeraxian supply depot. Ships came and went, loading weapons and food for the Empire's war effort. "Remember, we hit fast and disappear," Martinez told his team. "The Zeraxians still think they're better than us. Let's use that." The team moved silently toward the depot. Zeraxian guards stood at their posts, looking bored. They never expected an attack here, so deep in their territory. Martinez activated a sonic device that created a high-pitched noise. To humans wearing special earplugs, it was barely noticeable. But to Zeraxians with their sensitive ear structures, it was painful and disorienting. The guards fell to their knees, covering the sides of their heads where their hearing organs were located. Martinez's team moved in, placing small explosives on key structures and ships. 10 minutes later, they were gone. The depot erupted in flames behind them. "One more blow to the Empire," Martine said as their ship slipped away. Back on Earth, President Clark met with his war council. The map on the wall showed Xeraxian territory in red, with small blue dots marking human victories and green showing allied alien worlds. "The Xeraxians are pulling back from these sectors," Commander Hayes pointed out. "They're focusing their forces on protecting their core worlds." "And Dr. Wilson?" Clark asked. Kate Wilson looked tired but excited. "We've made another breakthrough. The neural interface technology now works with our allies too. The Velberry ships can be upgraded with our shield systems." Clark nodded. "Good. Admiral Rodriguez will coordinate with them." On the Xeraxian homeworld, High Commander Vexus faced angry questions from the Imperial Council. "How are these humans defeating our best ships?" demanded one council member. "You said they were primitive." "They had help," Vexus insisted. "Someone gave them advanced technology." Another council member shook his head. "Our spies say they developed it themselves. They found ways to use materials we've known about for centuries in ways we never imagined." "It gets worse," added a military officer. "Other species are joining them. The Velberry, the Krith, even some Zorelian colonies." Vexus slammed his fist on the table. "We've ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We will not be defeated by creatures we used to laugh at." But throughout the Empire, the laughter had stopped. Now, when Xeraxian ships detected human vessels, they called for backup. The species they had mocked had become the species they feared. Sub-Commander Trolax watched the human prisoner with curiosity. Unlike other Xeraxians, Trolax had always found other species interesting rather than amusing. The human, Colonel Great Russell, sat calmly despite his situation. "You realize you'll be executed for your attacks on our supply lines," Trolax said. Russell shrugged. "Maybe, but more humans will come after me. Why fight a war you can't win? Even with your new technology, the Empire is vast. We have thousands of worlds." "Do all those worlds still support you?" Russell asked. "We've heard interesting rumors." Trolax frowned. The human was right. Across the Empire, colony worlds were questioning Xeraxian rule. Some had already declared independence. "This conflict could end peacefully," Russell continued. "Humans don't want to destroy the Xeraxians. We just want respect and freedom." These words stayed with Trolax long after the prisoner was taken away. Later, he approached the High Council with a radical suggestion. "We should offer humans true alliance status," Trolax proposed. "Their technology could benefit us all." High Commander Vexus laughed coldly. "Alliance? With creatures who were climbing trees when we first sailed the stars? Never." "Then we will lose more worlds," Trolax warned. "Already, 20 colony planets support the humans." The argument grew heated. For the first time in thousands of years, the Xeraxian leadership was divided. Some sided with Trolax, seeing the practical benefits of peace. Others stood firmly with Vexus, believing total victory was the only acceptable outcome. What none of them knew was that listening devices had been hidden in the council chamber. Agent Olivia Bennett, Earth's top spy, heard everything from her hideout 3 levels below. "They're splitting apart," she whispered into her secure communicator. "Just as we hoped." Colonel Russell had been captured on purpose. His mission was to plant seeds of doubt in the right ears. Now those seeds were growing. Bennett's message reached Earth, where Colonel Russell's true superior, General Frank Howard, smiled at the news. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Across Xeraxian space, carefully crafted messages began appearing on communication channels. They showed evidence of Vexus hiding military failures from his own people. Some messages highlighted Trolax's more moderate views. Others revealed how colony worlds were thriving after breaking from Empire control. No one could find the source of these messages. The Empire's best communication experts were baffled by technology they couldn't understand. "This is human work," Vexus insisted. "They're trying to divide us." "Perhaps," replied a council member, "but the information appears to be true." On a distant Xeraxian colony called Kelmer, the local governor watched the growing chaos with concern. His world had always been loyal to the Empire, but they received little in return. When Admiral Rodriguez's fleet appeared in their system, they expected to be conquered. Instead, she sent a simple message: "We offer freedom, not conquest. Join us or remain neutral. The choice is yours." After centuries of Xeraxian orders, the idea of choice was revolutionary. Within days, Kelmer declared independence from the Empire and signed a protection treaty with Earth. Similar scenarios played out across dozens of worlds. The empire that had seemed unbreakable began coming apart at the seams. In his palace, Vexus received increasingly desperate reports. 6 more colony worlds have declared independence, and aid reported fearfully. "And Trelax?" Vexus asked. "He's gone, sir, left with 30 ships and announced formation of a reform government. He's asking other worlds to join him." Vexus stared at the galaxy map, watching as more and more red areas turned blue or green. The mighty Xeraxian Empire was fracturing, and humans, the species they had laughed at, were at the center of it all. "Prepare my flagship," he ordered suddenly. "It's time to end this human problem once and for all." General Frank Howard stood on the bridge of Earth's largest warship, the Liberty. Around him, officers from 6 different species worked together, preparing for the final battle. The combined fleet of human and allied ships had gathered at the edge of the Xeraxian home system. "All ships report ready, General," said Admiral Rodriguez. "The Velberry and Krith squadrons are in position." Howard nodded. "And Dr. Wilson's device?" "Ready, sir. One chance is all we'll get." This was Operation Liberty, the final push to end the war. Intelligence reports showed High Commander Vexus had gathered his remaining loyal forces to defend the Xeraxian homeworld. He was desperate and dangerous. "Begin the approach," Howard ordered. "All ships, maintain formation." As the Allied fleet moved forward, they detected a massive array of Xeraxian warships waiting for them. At the center was Vexus's flagship, twice the size of any other vessel. "Humans," Vexus's voice came through on all channels. "You have caused enough trouble in my empire. This ends today." President Clark, watching from Earth, sent a final message to Vexus: "Surrender now. We offer peace and a place in a new galactic council, all species as equals." Harsh laughter was the only response. Then the Xeraxian fleet opened fire. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Thousands of ships exchanged fire across the void of space. The human-led forces fought bravely, but the Xeraxians had the advantage of their planet's massive defense network, a system of satellites and energy weapons that had protected their homeworld for millennia. "We can't break through their defenses," Rodriguez reported as their ships took heavy damage. "It's time," Howard said. "Signal Captain Gordon." The Defiance, now upgraded with Dr. Wilson's newest technology, broke from the main fleet. Captain Gordon guided his ship straight toward the defense network's main control station. "Activate the pulse," Gordon ordered. Dr. Wilson, who had insisted on being aboard for this mission, pressed her hand to a strange device. It connected directly to her neural patterns, the key discovery that had changed everything. Energy flowed from the ship in an invisible wave. For 30 seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the Xeraxian defense satellites went dark. The planetary shield flickered and died. "What have you done?" Vexus demanded, his voice showing fear for the first time. "Something you thought was impossible," Gordon replied. With the defenses down, the Allied fleet surged forward. Howard ordered his forces to target weapons and engines, avoiding population centers. This wasn't about revenge. It was about freedom. Within hours, most of the Xeraxian fleet had surrendered. Only Vexus's flagship continued fighting until it was completely disabled. Special forces led by Lieutenant Martinez boarded the vessel and captured Vexus himself. 3 days later, representatives from 20 species gathered on the Ziraxian homeworld. President Clark stood before them, with Sub-Commander Trillax by his side. Today marks the end of Empire and the beginning of the Galactic Council, Clark announced. All species have an equal voice. All worlds have the right to choose their own path. Trillax, now leading the new Ziraxian government, addressed his people. For too long, we believed our strength came from dominating others. We were wrong. True strength comes from cooperation. As the new council began its work, Captain Miller, now an old man, watched from the audience. He remembered that first meeting with Vexus, when humans were mocked and dismissed. You were right about one thing, Miller told the defeated Vexus as guards led the former leader away. We are quick learners. In the years that followed, the galaxy changed. The species that once ruled through fear now contributed their knowledge to all. And humans, once laughed at as primitive, were respected not just for their unexpected strength, but for their compassion in victory. The Empire had mocked humans. Humans had fought back. And in winning, they had built something better than an empire, a community of equals among the stars.